Hello guys. Hello. Happy Wellness Wednesday. I'm going to wait a minute for people to hop on. I am coming to you live from my home. I'm typically in my office at this time, yet the amount of rearranging schedules and when you have a plan, things have changed so much in our household the last 4 days, just navigating lots of different things. So I typically do Wellness Wednesdays on Wednesday morning, but I'm coming to you from the afternoon because there was no time for me in the morning. So I am here. Hi, Christy. So I titled this live, Sick of Diet Culture, and what does that even mean? Hi. And so I just wanted to navigate a conversation and some awareness what that is and how that impacts you. Because if you live in the United States and you're a woman, you most likely have been influenced, engaged in, or been a victim of diet culture. And I'm going to use that word really strongly. Diet culture, so if you think of the word culture, it's just kind of a set of beliefs and kind of assumed truths that a group of people or community may or may not have. So diet culture is now this group or this community that accepts this position that it's better to be thin. It's better to be smaller. It's better to be clean eating than in a larger body or sick. And as I'm saying this, I'm even getting a little bit charged. Now, I have a PhD in nutrition, and I'm not saying that to say, look at me, but I have the ability to navigate weight loss, weight maintenance, clinically. I worked for a bariatric surgeon for a couple of years, and I do know the value of health. So I'm not here to argue about health, and I'm not here to say that all sizes are healthy, okay? So that is a very bold statement to make, but I am here to bring awareness how the culture of dieting infiltrates your life so much and you might not even know it. And if you have daughters, if I had a daughter, I did have a daughter and lost the daughter, that it would be wanting to shout from the rooftops for her. And so if you have a daughter and you're navigating something really hard with your relationship of food, just stick around and watch for her. Typically, if you don't want to do it for yourself, you'll do it for somebody you love. So let's just talk to her. I just had 4 appointments this morning with women who they said verbatim, doesn't all women want to be smaller? Don't all women want to lose weight? And she's in her 20s. Her whole life, she has been taught that it's better to take up less space. It's better to look a certain way. And I wanted to reach across the screen because it was all virtual and just give her a big hug and let her know that you can show up any size. And our culture does not dictate your worth. Your weight does not dictate your worth. And I'm gonna get emotional about this. I have been in cultures. I was on the dance team in college. I competitively danced through high school. I've been in cultures where your looks are very much evaluated. And I've had really close friends navigate the depths of awful eating disorders. And it's terrible and it's miserable and it's shaming. So I'm coming from personal experience. I have never been treated for an eating disorder. Have I engaged in diet culture? Yeah, I have. And I'm not that proud to admit that. But if you can sit back and cognitively disassociate that you haven't engaged in it, I want you to just take a really hard look. And sometimes being silent is making it worse. So diet culture is this belief that you need to be smaller or you're never good enough and what you currently are is not okay, including your size. So it's this constant need to be on a diet. It's this constant need that you're never comfortable in your body. And you're getting that message on social media. You're even getting it at the foods you buy. So sometimes the foods will say, 0 calories, 0 nutrition, which if you ever travel to different countries, they don't put calories on the food. Our country does. They put energy. And so you think about that. We're promoting that it's better to eat something with 0 energy. That doesn't make any sense. The point, logical sense, the point of eating is to get energy. We are humans dependent upon food. We have to have food, water, air to survive, shelter to be comfortable. And if you don't have energy, you literally won't survive. But our culture is now fascinated with making things as little calorie as possible. I just saw last week a new trend going around is lettuce chips. So instead of having potato chips, have lettuce chips. Now, I'm not here to shame that. I think, whatever. If you want to have a salad, but don't shame the potato chip. Potato chips are wonderful. I personally love salt and vinegar chips and crab flavors. Now, what I literally didn't say is eat whatever you want in all of the amounts that you want, which is what our brain wants to do. Our brain wants to say all or nothing. The middle is really hard. The gray area is really hard. And our diet culture proves that. Eat all plants. Eat all fat. Eat all protein. Eat all clean. There's all this dichotomous, meaning black or white plans that promise or suggest that that is how you're going to be healthy or skinnier or prettier or whatever. Our culture is also the one that promotes thinner is the ideal. This Eurocentric thin ideal is what people are after. If you go to another culture, they're gonna think that's not beautiful in our eyes. Different cultures have different meanings of beauty. So in diet culture, there's this appeal for looking the exact same way as this perfect Eurocentric thin ideal. And so growing up, if you have a daughter, if they don't look like what they see on these pedestals, they think, oh, well, then I'm less than. If I don't look like her, I'm not good enough. And that thought pattern can turn into a really deep-seated belief that infiltrates all other areas of life. Relationships, where you're more tolerable for abuse. Finances, where you're less likely to have any discipline. Let's see. Pick another topic. Overachievers, where you're more likely to achieve all of the academic accolades because you just don't feel good enough. So you have to keep proving to other people that you are good. That could be one way that it could show up. In diet culture, it promotes that. Be the best. Have the best before and after. Show the most drastic effects. Compare your before and after, and ew, look what I liked before, and look what I liked after. But look what I looked like after. Hold on, Trey. How many times do you actually promote that? Oh, don't look at the before. The before is nasty. Look at me now. And if you ever lose that picture perfect image, you do everything, to get it back. And if you fall off the wagon or have cheat days or all of these other terminologies, it's your problem because you lost self-control and you just don't have enough discipline. You just have to get it together. You just have to work harder. So what a genius model where blame the consumer, then the consumer's at fault, so you just hop back on the wagon. You hop back on the diet train or financially invest with some other thing, and they just keep saying, just keep purchasing this. We're going to help you. And it's impossible. It's impossible to eat lettuce chips all the time. It's impossible to eat structured meals all of the time. It's impossible. And it will never, ever happen unless you have a severe disorder where you can emotionally suppress all emotions, don't feel a thing, and stick with these hard discipline plans. And there are a certain percentages that I do work with, and that can be a diagnosed illness of anorexia, bulimia, and you lack the ability to feel anything. So diet culture promotes this. And I just posted a Dove commercial where it just showed how it sneaks up on us. I think phones and social media are a wonderful thing. I also think they can be really detrimental on forming brains. And I know for me, I even have to be very intentional of turning off my phone at certain times, putting it away. And me being an entrepreneur and working from anywhere, that's really hard. So my business, I can work from anywhere. So I have to have really clear efforts to turn it off. I don't do the best all the time. So I'm not preaching from a soapbox. I'm speaking to you from experience, from knowledge, and just from a deep passion that I see women striving to be perfect in this diet culture and then still feeling terrible and wondering why, wondering what's wrong with me. How come I can't be good enough? And it's impossible solution if you stay in the culture. So a lot of women I work with, we talk about eating and the body and the food, and it's usually not about the food. There's usually a lot of emotional talk. But in a chronic dieting space, that's what's happening, is there's this chronic need to fix your diet, chronic need to fix your body, but you're not broken. You are nature's and God's greatest miracle. Remember, I was working with kids one time, and one of the saying I was working with an autistic clinic with high functioning autism. And at the top of, like, we had clipboards that we would see and kind of bring people in. And at the top of the clipboard, I literally had written, "Every child is a dream of God." Because sometimes when you're working with individuals in a public space, it's really difficult. And you can experience a lot of frustration or impatience or just whatever you have going on as a person. And I remember carrying that with me when I worked with high schoolers, when I worked with collegiate athletes, when I work with, just all different kinds. I have that in the back of my head. Every person, every child is a dream of God. And that's my own personal faith. You can kind of, whatever energy or belief you believe into, you can, I think we can all agree upon that there is an energy outside of us that is bigger than us. Every person is a dream of energy, or every person is a dream of this earth. And then some people have a really hard time tapping back into that dream because of trauma, because of just awful, awful, tragic events and abuse, and just really choosing things outside of love and hope and faith. Diet culture is meant to make you feel bad. It will not make you feel good. And so we want to make sure that we're navigating it, and are we promoting it? Are we actually promoting diet culture? And so if you're promoting good or bad foods, if you're promoting a hierarchy of eating is better than another, just be careful. Be careful the words that you use, because they matter. Please hear me when I say, if you're navigating a chronic medical issue, this is a different conversation. So I've worked with a ton of type 1 diabetics. I've worked with a ton of IBS and autoimmune. And those are some hard things to navigate. And you can have a medical conversation and have an emotional conversation. That is really hard to compartmentalize. It is possible, but it's checking in with yourself. Am I coming from an emotional space? Am I coming from a medical space? Or maybe both. It can be both and just being really honest and aware. Is this medical diagnosis, is it carrying an emotional component? And me moving forward, if I have children and I'm navigating a medical diagnosis, how am I teaching my children how to interact with food? How am I interacting with the food in a non-shaming way? In our diet culture, we tend to put on a pedestal health and wellness and all of these things that promise you know, you're going to be the happiest you've ever been if you're 50 pounds lighter, just things like that. That is not true. You're going to be just as unhappy 50 pounds lighter. You might feel lighter, but your emotional stability is probably going to be just the same. And that's where I step in. It's just being really aware that your food and your body and your weight are one part of your life and not your entire life. Because there's so much more joy and creativity and connection that is out there. And you deserve all of that. And you deserve to eat tasty food, not lettuce chips. I'm just picking on that. I love lettuce. I think lettuce is beautiful. But I think it's really important. My husband just walked by. I think it's really important that you can eat all of the things and enjoy all of the things, both healthy and processed, and all of the things that you may deem unworthy for consumption. I hope you can enjoy it too. All right. You have any questions or comments, please just interact, message me. I obviously love this topic and welcome combative responses. And let's just have a conversation safely. Okay. Talk to you guys soon. Happy Wellness Wednesday. Bye.